We're on page 203. So we have now the next step. We're in the Mishkan. They were producing the curtains, and part of it were the curtains were. So we had the shearing of the wool, and then after that it was bleached and cleansed, and then the preparing of the raw material in order to be able to eventually spin it and make it into yarn, and then do the weaving. So we have in 201 we have carding, which was separating the fibers and making it, preparing it for spinning. Then comes the dyeing process, and the malacha is to, in the Mishkan, it was to add color to the material with a permanent dye. Then this also mixing the different plants. And then we had, as part of the previous group, we had making the dye material into blocks, and then dissolving it in water. We had previously also cooking it up and then putting the wool inside. So the dyeing process itself, so we have the malacha is the actual dyeing, the coloring of the material. And then we also have preparing the dye by diluting the material that is going to be the actual coloring that is diluted in water. So rabbinical prohibitions are in the bottom of page 203 is coloring with an agent that does not dye permanently. Then also would also include coloring one's body, including eyes or lips, nails. All that would be included in this malacha. Now, on 204, we have what happens if there's coloring. The person is eating something. Okay, the children like to have to lick the lollipops and then stick their tongue out to see what color it is. You ever see that with kids? Okay, so is that allowed on Shabbos? And the answer is yes. Okay, so when it comes to foods, this malacha does not apply. It's actually to taste. Yes, your question.
What if you have like beets and they like leave your lips and you do it on purpose?
So the
lips. I mean, you're eating it, but also you make a little.
Okay, so until now, when we're speaking about eating and it leaves your lips colored, you're speaking about being incidental, you're eating cherries, you're eating strawberries, you're eating beets. So in that case, they're all incidental where the coloring is done as a secondary thing. What about eating beets in order to color one's lips? I never heard that question before, and therefore I would have to investigate. It didn't even enter my mind that it would actually leave, a color that one would like. Okay. Do they sell it as a? Do they sell it as a color, beet color?
It works on every symptom.
Okay, so I will look into this. So if you're eating it and it does leave the color, then there is no issue. The question is if you're eating it in a special way. Okay. So technically, we do go according to what a person's intention is. I mean, the technical answer would be if you're deliberately not taking the beets. So it would make no difference what you're using. The fact that you're using that as your lipstick, so then that would not be done on Shabbos.
So there's a lot of like Shabbos makeup brands.
Okay.
And so how are those like halachically okay if the intention is to put on makeup?
Okay, so the one would have to check with their halachic authority if these Shabbos makeups are acceptable. In some of the halachic works, they say that they don't understand how this is acceptable. So one would have to. So let's take another situation. Let's say using a talc powder to absorb perspiration. It does give the body a certain color, but that's not your intention. Your intention is for the absorbance. That's what your intention is. So we go according to that. We have another example where this also becomes an issue. Let's see if they have it here. Okay, on page 205, you have some of the toilet disinfectants have a color. Once it's all coming, you have the disinfectants have a color. It's like a blue color. Can you leave it in your tank, whatever, and then it colors the water as you're using the toilet. So is that permissible or not? So here we have in 205, it says that one should remove it before Shabbos. We're able to remove it on Shabbos itself in an unusual manner that is recommended. If one cannot remove it, so the first thing is to remove it before Shabbos. The second thing is to remove it on Shabbos in an unusual manner, the back of one's hands. And if not, you may still use it. The reason being is because your intention is not to color the water. Your intention is to disinfect it. So we would go according to disinfect, but since you know that it's definitely going to happen, so then one should avoid that to begin with.
Well, if you buy it because you like your toilet water to be blue, then you definitely can.
That's correct. The same would also be as far as foods are concerned. Again, we're not dyeing does not apply to foods and liquids. So if someone adds paprika to their dish, or ketchup, or any other of the spices or foods that will give it a color, so that would not be that would be permissible. Now, however, what happens if sometimes you make to enhance the table, you have water, then you add colorants. And its purpose is only for the coloring. No one is going to drink the water. You're just making it to be, make the table more presentable. So you have different. Sometimes they have it on simchas where they have these big vases and it's the flowers they put inside and they put in different colors. So in that case, one could not color the water on Shabbos because their intention is purely for the coloring. However, if it is for the beverage, again, making all of the different beverages that get color. So we have the cold beverages that you add what we would call Kool-Aid. I don't know it's called the kosher one, but that brand name Kool-Aid is you're adding different powders to the water that will give it a color. Same thing will also be with the beverages where you're making tea, coffee, taking white water and the water becomes colored. So is that permissible? And the answer is yes. The coloring itself is not an issue because you are not intending to color it. So with foods, dyeing does not apply. It would only apply to materials, or if you are doing it, because then it would be similar to making the dye to begin with. We said that making dye on Shabbos, preparing the dye is a malacha. How do you prepare the dye? You take the water and you add the dye coloring to it, where you're now making the water as a dye. So in that case, that is a malacha, that is a prohibited Torah prohibition because you are producing dye. So whether the dyeing itself, which is coloring the material, or producing the dye that's going to color the material, all of these go into the same category. Your question.
I wanted to ask if the Shabbos makeup is the same color as your skin, like the color of the
So again,
dress?
so when it comes to the Shabbos the makeups, I would say that one should ask their Rav what you would have to investigate what the Shabbos makeup is. So if something is completely not permanent, that's what they rely on, that it's not going to adhere to the surface. So if it doesn't adhere to the surface, then it's useless. It's only good as long as it, if you put a powder on, the powder is not going to last. You put on the talc powder, how long does the color the color of the skin remain white? So it would be a half hour. So one would have to. So it doesn't definitely need something that's going to make it, give it some body to it. That's going to have some oils of some type that's going to make it adhere to the surface of the skin. That's my. So again, I think that if you are going to ask the question to a halachic authority, you should bring that product to that Rav, that they should be able to see exactly what it is, because I'm sure they have in the Shabbos makeups, they have different brands and different reasons why they said it would be permissible. So it would be a particular brand that one would have to. So now coming with the as far as the coloring of the body, so we have use of makeup. So it includes this on page 206, includes lipstick, eyeshadow, polishing one nails, even if it is clear, adds to the shine. We have the blush. And so therefore this is a problem. Now, as far as removing makeup, that would be permissible. And one would do so with the disposable item, with tissues, napkins, towel paper, dry cotton, nothing wet. You can't moisten the cotton to remove the makeup. So this would be permissible with those disposable materials. Hairspray. Hairspray is would not be permissible because it stiffens the hair. It's like we'll have that in the Malacha building. That's where they put it in to make something structure. So we're considering the. So what is the purpose of the hairspray? It is to stiffen the hair and make it. Make it presentable in that manner. So that's an issue that goes into the category of building. I believe it would be in this book later when it comes to building. The sunglasses that are the ones that change the colors, that is permissible. Because what's it called? The gray. What's the name of the glasses? Of the transition lenses. So that would be permissible on Shabbos. That is your question.
So a lot of makeup wipes are wet already, look at the package. So are they allowed to be?
If they are wet, matters how wet they are. If they're wet enough to transfer the wetness to another surface, then that's called squeezing out with the use of the liquid. If it is drier than that it just is. Will it be? Will it be practical to use if it's dry, and you're not gaining anything from that product? So it would have to be if it's sort of moist, but not enough to transfer the moisture to another surface. So wiping up a bleed, so that would be with something that is disposable. That is what you would go for. Again, gauze, bandage, band-aids, the disposable the tissues, napkins, so that would be your first choice when stopping the bleeding. If it's an emergency, then whatever is necessary to be done should be done. Polishing shoes, so that would go into the category of dyeing, even if it has the existing color, the same color, that would be called dyeing. And then if it's a paste, that goes into another malacha of taking something that is and smoothing out a solid. And if they have dust, it could be removed by hand, but not with a brush, because then it's bringing back a shine to them. Yes.
Two questions. So if you were using a makeup wipe, if it makes your face at all wet, you can use it. Like let's say you wipe your face and there's gonna be some like your face is a bit wet because it's transferred over and you can't use the makeup wipe. to remove it.
Right, that's correct.
Okay,
So
and then the second one, if you splash your face
it's
with
fine.
water and
That's correct.
you're allowed to scrub your face with
Yes.
water.
Yes, yes. So any questions on this?
Wait, you can use soap to wash your face?
Oh, the liquid soap. Not that the bar soap has its own issue, taking a solid and making it, into smoothing it out and making it into a liquid. So that's its own. Okay. Yes.
If you have like a face wash, it's like not any thicker than hand soap.
Face wash, if it's a liquid, it's a pourable liquid. Yes, that's fine.
What about to moisturize your face? Can you use a thin oil to moisturize the face, like a pourable,
If
very
it's-
thin oil?
Yeah.
Okay, but can you rub it or you just have to pat it on?
If it's a pourable, if it's a thin liquid, so then you may use it as you wish.
What about dry shampoo?
Hmm.
Dry shampoo?
Dry shampoo. So, what does it do?
It absorbs oil.
It absorbs. That just how is it used? It's a spray.
It is oil and then you need to rub it a little bit, like carefully not to take out hair. Just stop it.
Okay.
A little bit. It's
Okay.
powder though. Right?
What is powder?
No, some are powder, some are aerosol sprays.
Okay, yeah, it's dry. It's not making your hair wet, and it's not. It should be okay. So now we have the next malachas that are really pretty much most people will not not part of our daily life, and that's the next malacha is spinning. Part of the construction of the Mishkan was to spin the wool fibers to make it the threads or yarn for weaving the curtains. And that is spinning threads out of wool, flax, or other materials, and making a fabric which is made by pressing wool and hair and not by weaving, applying threads together to make one thick thread. So how would that apply? Sometimes the markers in the Sfarim separate. On Shabbos you could not roll them and make them back into one piece. That would be the application.
So like, I don't know, I always am like touching like whatever those sorts of things. How do you make sure you're not doing it unconsciously? Make sure that I'm not doing that. Yeah.
Take it to begin with and put it inside.
Oh, that's smart.
There we are.
Where'd it go?
So that would be the next malacha. Then we have setting up the loom, which again is on page 211, setting up a loom for spinning or weaving. That does not apply. Making the heddles, also that's from 213, that's also does not apply. And then we have weaving. So in weaving, so page 215.
I got a question.
So we have creating a weave by inserting two threads of the weft and transverse thread between the threads of the warp and lengthwise threads. Okay, so weaving is you have the warp and the woof going across. That's what our garments are made of. It's all being done by weaving. Yes?
I'm not sure if this is falls under this category, but if you had like these topics about all your shoelaces,
So if it is easily done, in other words, it still has the plastic end to it, and so then you can put it back. Now, with weaving, let me try to think of how it would apply. Sometimes you have the chairs that are called the Beets chairs, and they are actually like woven. They have the long weave, and then you put it in you weave the chair. So setting it up on Shabbos could not be done. If it comes apart, you cannot reweave the chair on Shabbos. What else would be applicable? The same thing would also be with baskets. Also the weaving of baskets, that could not be done on Shabbos. Unweaving it, that also would be. Then it comes to hair. So braiding hair would go into this category. We cannot braid the hair on Shabbos or unbraiding the hair. So you have to, yes. Right, no, we would give everyone the benefit of the doubt that you would not do it on Shabbos, especially if it gets a little messy. So.
What happens if you braid your hair for Shabbos
Mhm.
and like you're sleeping and then you wake up and it's crazy and you just like happen to walk outside in the wind, unbraid your hair?
The wind is not, you're not responsible for the wind.
So as
You're
long
not
as you
braiding
like,
your hair.
like,
As you don't, as long
long
as
as
you
your hands don't do it.
manually don't do it.
so you could like go like this.
Yes,
It's not,
yes,
you never know.
That was my question, if you
Yes.
could shake your head.
yes, you can, yes, you can, yes. That's done indirectly, that is fine.
You take out the ponytail holder first
Yes,
before you shake it?
yes,
Or
yes.
you have to shake the
No,
ponytail?
you could take it, no, you could remove the ponytail
Got it.
holder.
Important details.
Okay. Unweaving, separating threads, 217. The malach is taking out the threads from a weave. Unraveling a braid to repair it.
Is this different than tying?
Uh,
Is this different than tying?
Tying, when it comes to tying, is going to be its own chapter, which we're going to be, that's our major topic that we're going to be speaking about. Tearing raw cotton. And removing the threads which remain on a button that fell off the garment. So that is also cannot be done. You leave the threads until after Shabbos. Okay, now what these are all, most of them do not apply to us. So I'm going to go now to tying, which is 219. In the Mishkan, you had the tcheles, which was the turquoise or blue color. So they came from a sea creature that had to be trapped. In order to make to trap the sea creature, the chalazon, it's interesting, the chalazon, the Talmud tells us, would come once in 70 years. They would come out of hibernation, and they would all collect themselves in the waters near Eretz Yisrael. And the Shevet of Naphtali, they were the ones who had that region near the sea. And Hashem gave them that special merit that they were going to be the ones to produce the tchelis. Tchelis was used for the curtains. Tchelis was also used later for tzitzis. There's a string of blue, as it says in the Vayomer. It should be a string of blue. We don't have the string of blue now. There are other communities that do, because is it tchelis or not? Questionable. And so it's interesting. Naphtali was complaining that everyone could get the sea creature, and it's not going to be exclusively theirs. So Hashem tells the tribe of Naphtali that in case others will take it, it will not be a permanent dye. It will not work. Only if they're the ones who produce it, only that dye will be a lasting dye. That's a special blessing that they were given. Okay, so now we have the, so in order to make the, nets, so they made it in the string, and took another string and tied them together, made a knot, and kept extending. Okay, so now they had to make the knot a permanent knot, a professional knot, because if it wouldn't, it would just come apart as you're trying to trap whatever you're trying to do. So therefore, in the Mishkan, this is what there was tying that was actually done, and when they tied the nets, it was done with the intention of leaving it there on a permanent basis, because they did not. The only reason why they would have to undo it would be if their waters are shallow and the net is too long. They would then remove the sections that were making it too long. So you had the tying and untying as a part of the trapping of the chalazim. So therefore, what is the definition of the Torah prohibition? So there are two opinions, and one is that it's a permanent knot, not knowing when you're going to undo it. And secondly, it's something that's professional, that's meant to last. So if either of the two are missing, then that would be still forbidden. It would be a rabbinic prohibition, but the Torah prohibition would be the permanent, that not knowing when it's going to be undone, and secondly, also professional. So among the professional knots, you have the sailor's knot. When he ties his boat, he wants to make sure when he comes back, the boat is still going to be there. Same would also be, you have the shoemaker's knot, where you have some of the sandals are made with knots. If it's not made professionally, while you're walking, your sandal is going to be lost because the knot became undone. So these are the knots that are the Torah prohibition. So we have the Ab Malachas connecting two things, fastening them to each other with a permanent knot. And the same would also be taking several ropes together to make into one rope. And rabbinical prohibition is a temporary knot that's expected to last more than 24 hours. And the craftsman knot is also, even if it's not meant to be undone, even if it's meant to be undone within 24 hours, it's also going to be forbidden.
So after Shabbos meals, Friday and Saturday, when you put the challah back in the bag, is there like a ideal way to
Close it once.
Just
Close the bag. Close it.
what if it's a little twisted thing?
Okay.
Can you
Now,
put it with really small?
So with a twisty, so do you, when you get the the challah from the bakery, do you notice if it's twisted in a certain way, or is it done? You know how it's, pay attention. So the bakeries were instructed that when they put the twisty on, they either do it once or they roll it around. Check when you get the challah in your plastic bags. Some of them just have a lock on it. It's like a plastic little thing that you just goes on it and you just pull it off. It's nothing. There's nothing to fasten. It just has a little opening and it's tight, and you just put it in. You're not tight anything at all. Some of the baked goods are packaged that way, but those that are packaged in with the twisties. So if it's twisted very, very tightly, one cannot untwist it. Goes into what we're speaking about now. How do you open it? So what you could do is just pull it. So if you play with it, pull it. It keeps going higher as you go until the thing pops off. Matters how tight it was done. And if not, you pull it until the bag opens. So you have that. So we do not untwist, but rather open it any other way. The ideal way would be just to pull it until it comes off. If not, then you just pull it, and if the bag ripped, you're trying to get the challah inside, that would be permissible. So our question is, what about tying shoes? How do we tie shoes? So we have the a bow is what we're trying to work with. So we're going to cover this in our next class. So please read this chapter. This is something that actually is a part of our Shabbos life, to know how to do it correctly, which would mean that something is going to be left more than 24 hours. That becomes an issue. So when you're tying the garbage bag, and it's going to be thrown out, so you have to know how to do it on Shabbos. Let's see, let me